Right, and we are live. Hello, 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 everybody. Looks like we have sound. I have a camera. If I can just get a couple of thumbs up if the audio quality is okay, and if you guys can see me, welcome. Appreciate everybody stopping by. The first ever planned and outlined TM Aquatics live stream, and perhaps the last. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes tonight. So definitely appreciate everybody stopping by and joining. If I can, somebody maybe just give me a thumbs up that the audio is okay. I'd greatly appreciate it since this is my first live stream. I think it's important that you can hear me. All right. Appreciate it, Zebra Pleco fans. Thank you very much. So, since I'm new to live streaming and this is my first planned and organized live stream, might be a little bit clunky, so I appreciate everybody bearing with me. I'm also new to OBS, which is the software package I'm using for my overlay and camera and so forth. Things may change a little bit if I do decide to move forward and stream on a regular basis. The overlay might change up a little bit. How I'm positioned in the camera might change. And in fact, earlier I sent a poll out on my community tab on YouTube and asked how people are viewing live streams. And I was surprised to see that over 70% are watching on cell phones. So I'm not sure having my camera scrunched down to a little tiny corner in this overlay is going to be the best option for cell phones. So I'm going to look into that, watch it back on my cell phone, try to get some feedback from people and just see if I want to stick with this or if I want to change things up a little bit. Regarding the overlay and what you're looking at right now on the top of the screen, that's actually scrolling text of the current species that I'm working with here at TM Aquatics. And those are active breeding projects, or some are actually growing out still and not breeding. But those are the groups of Plecos and Corydoras that I currently have here in my fish room. Now, with that being said, my brother also has a fish room that's slightly larger than mine, and he has a few more species than I do. And we try not to overlap in terms of species. There are a couple that we overlap with. The L397s is one of them. Orange laser Corydoras is another, but he's working with completely different species for the most part. So what you see above are the species that are in my fish room, and those are my fish, and the fish in his fish room are his fish. But we do work together, and I do have experience with a lot of the L numbers and C numbers and CW numbers that he works with over in his fish room. Just to spit out a few that he's working with, he keeps the L14 Scoby Ancistrus, the Sunshine Pleco. He's keeping a big group of L75 Paraplecos, which is a Picoltia species, and they're getting real close to breeding for him, and really excited about that. He's also keeping the L257s, the 201s, LDA01s, and a whole host of others. And then the Corydoras, I've lost track of what he keeps for Corydoras. But for this stream's purposes, I am asking that we try to keep comments or questions to the species listed above that are in my fish room. And I would just appreciate it. Just going to make things a little bit easier. The big background picture that you see, that planted tank, that was actually my planted tank. I think I had that back in 2013, 2014 timeframe. I actually stepped away from the hobby. I've always had fish tanks since I was like 8 years old. But as my kids were going through elementary and middle school, I was very involved with a lot of their activities, coaching soccer, basketball, and running a Cub Scout pack as the Cub Master for many years. So because of those time requirements, I did step away from the hobby, not completely, but I was down to maybe, I had one tank in my office for quite a while, for about 5 or 6 years. When I got back into the hobby, as the kids got older and started moving on with their lives and moving out of the house, I jumped back into the hobby. And one of the things that I've never done was kept a high-tech. It's not real high-tech. You're just injecting CO2. It's rather easy, but I've never had a quote-unquote high-tech planted tank. So I jumped in feet first, picked up a 10-pound CO2 cylinder, had a guy that I knew custom build a dual-stage regulator for me, and I went feet first into the deep end on a planted tank. And what you're looking at is that planted tank, and I miss it dearly. And you compare it to what that tank looks like now, which is still up right now. It's just night and day difference. And I'm actually thinking about going back to another high-tech planted tank. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But that's what you're looking at. That is my tank with the plants purling there. Don't ask me to name the plants. I'm not Bentley Pascal. I'm not a master horticulturist, so I can say there's some Ludwigia inclinata cuba in there, some repens, some Pogostemon helferi, some Blixa japonica, and that's about all I know. That's about all I remember anyway. So anyways, that's what's going on in the background. Like I do with a lot of my videos, I do want to also start out by saying I am not an expert. I need to level set with you really quick and early, and I think it's important. I'm not an expert, and I don't want to convey or project myself as being an expert all things aquarium. I am a hobbyist, no different than you. If I can do it, you can do it. Even though I do have extensive experience with the hobby, I've kept everything from live bears to Africans to saltwater tanks to reef tanks, and now the planted tank, Plecos, Corydoras, but I don't want to project myself as an expert. And again, for this stream's purposes, I'd prefer to stick to current fish and species that I have in my fish room, but I'm also not a scientist. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a veterinarian, so I'm not going to be answering any questions on medications, illnesses, because even though I probably could tell you how to, diagnose or treat something, if it doesn't work, I know I'm going to hear that you told me that, if you did this, that would happen. And I don't want to get in and boxed into that position. Like I said, I'm not an expert. There's not too many experts on YouTube. However, there is one gal that I really look up to, and that's Rebecca Bentley. And I don't know if she's on tonight's stream or not, but freshwater ichthyology, she's the closest thing you're going to find on YouTube for biologist, nutritionalist. She really does a deep dive and studies this. I think she does it as her career, and she's really a tremendous wealth of information. So if you're looking for an expert, Rebecca Bentley is your expert on fish. But anyways, I do want to start out also by just talking and just answering a quick question to stream or not to stream. I'm still on the fence on whether or not this is something I'm going to do on a semi-regular basis. And when I say that, I'm talking about maybe twice a month, maybe 3 times a month, if that. I'm not sure if this is going to be a good fit for me in my schedule right now, if it's going to be a good fit for my YouTube channel, etc. Currently, I have really limited bandwidth. Like everybody, we're all busy. We all work. We have jobs. Some of us have YouTube channels and fish rooms, and it's very demanding and taxing on time. But I find myself in an aircraft flying around 2 to 3 days out of the work week for business. And it really, on top of that, running the fish room and breeding and selling fish and trying to maintain a YouTube channel with some consistency. I don't know if the live stream will continue. I might find it that it's easier than an edited video. But with that, I spent probably 3 times as much time into tonight's live stream than I have on any edited content in the past year. And my edited content usually picks up, and I'm a small channel, 15, 16,000 people, not a huge channel. But a lot of my videos get anywhere from 5 to 10,000. Sometimes they'll hit 20,000, 30,000. And I have one video out there that has about 260,000 views. So if I live stream and I'm only picking up 100 views, that's not the reach that I really want with my time invested. So we'll just have to see how it plays out, and go from there and make some decisions. But I do like the fact that live streaming allows for some interaction, and that's really the purpose of live stream, or one of the positives about live streaming is that interaction, that Q&A, and getting closer to your audience and getting to know people and have a dialogue or conversation directly. So I really do look forward to that. But I absolutely have to create value that makes people want to stop here, take time out of their day, because really I'm competing for your time. I'm competing with everything else out there. I'm not just competing against other YouTubers or live streamers or what's on television. I'm competing with what you could be doing right now outside, what you could be doing with your time elsewhere, in the kitchen, with your significant other, whatever it is. And I have to provide enough value and create enough value that makes you want to come here and watch my live stream. And I've also noticed with live streams, they don't get a lot of replay value, and I'm not sure why that is. I haven't really put my finger on it. I think Aquarium Co-op talked about it one time, and people look at live streams and they feel like they missed something if they didn't attend live, so it's no longer relevant. I don't know, but if I'm only getting 100 views or so, I probably won't move forward. And if we're not picking up some replayability, then I really haven't succeeded at what I want to accomplish here. So, but again, it does allow me to get closer to you, the viewers, people that watch my YouTube channel, do some Q&A. And it also allows me to present content that may not be, I don't want to say relevant, but just might not be, I don't want to say worthy either, but it's just going to allow me to present certain pieces of content that maybe would never make its way into an edited video. So, so I think there's going to be some pluses, and hopefully it works out and whatnot. Now with that, I really never live streamed in the past. I've done, I think, 2 live streams, and they were just quick, impromptu live streams off my iPad down in the fish room, picking Corydoras eggs or dumping Pleco caves or something like that. And I've thought about it a little bit, but about a month ago, I joined Bob Kaler's Tennessee Fish Mafia panel, and I enjoyed it, and it got me thinking a little bit more about it, and that's what really landed us here today. But between now and when I joined Bob's live stream, and hi Bob, I don't know if you're here. Oh yeah, you are. Let me hold on one second, Bob. I'm gonna add you as a mod. Appreciate it, Bob. Thank you. Between Bob's live stream and today, I've been watching a lot of live streams. And I'll be honest, I didn't even realize that FishFam link, fishfam.link, I think that's the website. I didn't even know that existed until a few weeks ago. But it's a place where you can go to see who's streaming, what the streaming schedule is, and things like that. But I've been watching a plethora of live streams. The ones that really stuck out for me all had something in common, though. They were informative, organized, and just very well thought out, good audio quality, good video quality. And after those live streams, I left having learned something new. Maybe it wasn't, how to put a rocket on Mars, but, just little tidbits of information that I didn't know that. And that's my mission here. And that's what I really want to accomplish, is being able to provide something that's informative, entertaining, but again, worth your time. So, when I was trying to make the decision to live stream, I threw a poll out on my YouTube community tab and asked for some feedback, asked if people would be interested. And I just want to read a few comments that I got. And if you're one of those that made these comments, I hear you loud and clear, and I understand, and we'll just let it go at that. So comments that I got, and the question was, if I live stream, would you be interested in watching or something like that? As long as it's not hi to so-and-so, and I'm reading this verbatim, as long as it's not hi to so-and-so, thanks for the super chat, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Just don't turn your stream into an infomercial. Don't need to worry about that. I don't sell anything. I don't sell product. I do sell fish on getgills.com. And I'm probably going to have some shameless plugs for Get Gills from time to time, but you don't need to worry about me selling the next best contraption for fish keeping. I'll watch if there's a point to the stream. So enough said. I get it. Understood. And sharing your experience and knowledge would be great, but I have no interest in watching if it becomes all about Patreon memberships and super chats. Memberships are not enabled here. I started a Patreon years ago. I think I've closed it down. I've never even mentioned it or posted anymore. And super chats, it's enabled on this channel, but that's not the point of this live stream. And if I do get super chats, chances are I'll probably just use that for shipping and doing some giveaways for some of the fish that I keep here. So anyways, I do want to move on to the next section that I have, and that's really what is new in the fish room here at TM Aquatics. And since my last, actually not since my last video, but over the past month and a half now, and I have to back up because I did plan to go live a couple weeks ago, but had a real unfortunate incident regarding one of our family pets, and Bob Kaler knows all about that. I told Bob, but he's the only one that knows, and it made me step away a little bit, and it changed my schedule somewhat. So some of the data that I have written down and outlined is few weeks aged, if you will. But I did add 2 new species of Ancistrus Plecos. And I'm going to switch screens here. I added the Wobbin Muster, and I'm going to switch over to a different monitor here real quick. I added the Ancistrus species Wobbin Muster, and I picked up 10 of these from a good friend of mine that is over in Wisconsin. And funny story, though, he lives close to the Milwaukee, kind of halfway between Milwaukee and Madison, or in that area anyways. And I'm coming out of the southern metro area of Minneapolis, St. Paul. And he mentioned to me that I told him I'd drive over and pick him up. But he mentioned that his parents like to come over to the Minneapolis, St. Paul area and help his brother out with a new house. I guess he's refurbing a house or something like that. And I just kind of jokingly mentioned, any chance they're coming over this weekend? And he said, I'll check with them and let you know. Next thing I know, he's messaging me saying, I talked to my mom and dad. They'll meet you in La Crosse, Wisconsin at whatever it was, 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. It was it was forecast to be a beautiful day that day. And that was one of the first days up here that people could get their bikes out and ride their bikes. And they both ride bikes. I think they both had Hondas, if I remember correctly. But I ended up meeting his mom and dad, and they did a fish drop for him, and it was kind of neat. Had a real good conversation, really good folks. But I did pick up the Wobbin Musters. I just really like this fish. It just has such a unique pattern on it. Just, for an Ancistrus, a lot of people think of Ancistrus Plecos, and right away they're thinking bushy nose, and you can't close yourself off to some of the other species that are available with the Wobbin Musters. I mean, you've got the Wobbin Musters, you have the L519 Keifner 2s, which I'll show you a video of those in just a second. The Ancistrus Rio Paraguay or Paraguay, that's another beautiful species. The L393 Cheese Creek was all the craze about 3, 4, 5 years ago, but it's another beautiful Ancistrus species. But I did pick these up, again, 10 of them. And then I did also pick up some L181s. And now up above, there's a couple pictures. One of those fish is the L181. And then one is also the L183. The L181 is the peppermint pleco. The L183 is what I like to call the white seam pleco. A lot of people call it the starlight pleco, but people also call the 182 as starlight pleco. So you got to be careful with some of those common names. There's a little bit of overlap on some of these species, but I did pick up the L181. It was not the species I wanted, but it was the only species I could find. I wanted L183s, but they are tough to find right now. So please, if anybody has a source for L183s, hit me up. I'm willing to trade leopard frog plecos for them. I'm willing to pay cash, Venmo, PayPal, whatever it takes. I'm looking for 183s. Now, I do have a source, but they probably won't be ready to go until, I think he said late August, early mid-September. And I can get them for about $4.30. We already agreed on a price, $30 a piece. But I did pick up L181s, and I picked them up from Chang over at Moonlight Aquatics. And I made a video about that. And I do like them. It's just not the fish I really wanted. Now, a couple differences between them. The L181s do get a little larger than the 183s. However, the L181s, as they get older, as they become mature adults, they tend to hold on to more of their white spotted pattern. They lose the white seam, if you will, on their dorsal fin and their tail, but they will hold on to more of that white spotted pattern on their body. The L183 will keep some of that white seam on its dorsal fins and tail, but they lose a lot of the white spotted patterns. But they also stay an inch or two smaller than the L181. Both are beautiful fish. Both are popular fish, great fish to keep. You can't go wrong with either one. I'm just limited on space in my fish room right now and wanted the species that I wanted. So now, for the novice, and even for me, when I first look at these two fish that are above me here, right up here, they look very similar. And to the untrained eye, 95% of the time, 99% of the time, people are going to say that's the same species. And they're not. They're clearly different species. So how do you tell which is which? I know somebody in the chat probably knows this. I'm sure several people in the chat probably know it, but I also know that there are many that don't know that. So how do you tell if it's a 181 or a 183? It's all about the dorsal fin, and it's about the soft ray count in the dorsal fin. The 183 is this one. Let's see. That would be to my left, to the right of the screen, I think. The one with the white seam on it still. I'm still getting used to this whole overlay and the streaming thing and the camera, so bear with me. The 183 is the one that is pictured with a little bit of the white seam, and it has 9. They always have 9 soft dorsal rays, not counting the dorsal spine. Okay, so you look at those dorsal rays behind there, there's going to be 9. The L181s typically have 8. I've read that they can sometimes have 7, but every picture of an L181 I've seen, they have 8 soft dorsal rays. So if you look at those two pictures and you count the soft dorsal rays, instantly you know which one is the 181, which one's the 183, and that goes for, and that doesn't change. So if they're both juveniles, like this picture here, that's the way to tell. Now, there was a website I was looking at, and I was trying to chase down 183s, and I think it was, and nothing wrong with the website, and this isn't, I'm not, taking a poke at them, but I think it was Aquatic Arts. I think I've never bought from them, but I've seen good reviews from them. They picture 180, they advertise 183s, but if you look at the fish they have pictured, there's only 8 soft dorsal rays. So it's not a 183. Hopefully the fish you end up getting, if you ever bought them, would be the true thing, but that's how you tell the difference between L181s and 183s, is the soft dorsal ray count. So hopefully that helps out a couple of folks. Now, there is another fish that I do want to pick up, and another Ancistrus, and then we'll talk about why Ancistrus. Now I'm going to switch screens again here, and we're going to go over to this YouTube video here, and Jimmy Jara Fish Room. We're going to play this. This is an L519 Kyphner 2. Okay, I guess we have to scroll through the ads. Thanks, YouTube. Let's get through that. This is the L519 Kyphner 2, and this is really a hot commodity as far as Ancistrus goes right now. These have been selling for as much as $100 to $200 per inch. So if you want to be on the cutting edge of the newest and latest and greatest Ancistrus, this is the fish to get, and it can make you a tremendous amount of money if you're willing to make that initial investment into a group of these fish. I did have a chance to pick some of these up locally for $65 a piece, and I passed on it, and I hate myself for it. It's truly a beautiful fish, and I probably will never come across that deal again. But that is the L519 Kyphner 2. Just a gorgeous fish. All right, we're going to stop that and come back here. So why Ancistrus? Well, as I mentioned earlier, at least I think I mentioned, my fish room is running at capacity right now, with the exception of 2 of the new 60 breeders that I recently brought online here. I recently built a triple stack of the new Aquarium 60 breeders. Love that fish tank, and that footprint size works out great for a colony breeder for people like me that colony breed Plecos. Gives me plenty of space for 15 or so Plecos. In fact, I have 29 L260s in one right now. But it gives me that 1.5 foot, that 18-inch deep by 48-inch long footprint like a 75. But I think they're 6 inches shorter than the 75, so I'm not paying for all that upper real estate. I don't have to pay to heat that extra water, but I get the footprint and the surface down below where my fish hang out. So absolutely love that fish tank. But 2 of those are being used for Corydoras and Scleromystax barbatus grow out tanks right now. Not ideal, Wasn't my plan to use 2 of them for grow outs. But with that, all my other tanks are full. But Ancistrus can handle some of the water temperatures that I keep some of my Corydoras species at. A lot of my Corys I keep at 75, 76. Some of them I keep 77, 78. It really depends on the species. But I can combine some of these Ancistrus with some of these Corys at 77, 78 degrees, and everybody is happy. No one's only sort of happy while the other half is really happy. They're all going to be happy at those temperatures, 77, 78. The only thing I need to watch out for is if the Corys spawn, they easily can become Pleco food, if you know what I mean. So you got to be Johnny on the spot to get those eggs out. So we'll see how that goes. But that's why I'm picking up some of the Ancistrus, is because I can double up in some of my 40 breeders that I have, and perhaps potentially the 60 breeders, house both groups of Corydoras and some of the Ancistrus in there. I can't keep and breed effectively with high success my current Corydoras with my high Ancistrus, because those tanks are kept at 82, 83, and we'll talk about one species here in a little bit that's going to be up to 86 degrees. My Corys aren't going to be happy, and I'm not going to. I would never say they're not going to spawn at those temps because I don't have that experience. But I doubt that they would be productive, and I doubt they would be very happy with 86 degree temperatures. So, but that's why Ancistrus. They're very hardy, very robust. They're not finicky, picky eaters. We're not talking about the bushy nose, which are kind of like I call duckweed of aquarium plants. Some of these Ancistrus do require some work, and there are some challenges with them in having successful spawns and getting them to breed out. So it's not like it's an Ancistrus, so it's going to be like a bushy nose, and it's just going to automatically pumping out hundreds of fry. They're not like that. There is a little bit of work involved. Some of them can be easy. Some of them can be a little more difficult or require some effort. But that's why I'm picking up some Ancistrus, so I can double up on some real estate. Having a 40 breeder dedicated to 12 Corydoras or 15 Corydoras, not the most efficient use of all that gallonage, if you will. So it's just another way to use some more tank space here. So which goes against what I usually do when I breed. I like to have a lot of species only tanks. I'm a true believer in species only, but we're going to try this, see how it goes, and hopefully it works. If not, we'll have to make some changes and go from there. So, but those are the new fish that I picked up here. Again, is the Wobbin Muster Plecos, which are just a gorgeous fish. And then the L181s, and considering on adding the 183s, and if I can come across a good deal on the 519s. So also, what's new in the fish room? I recently picked up more L174s, which are the small high Ancistrus out of the Rio Xingu. The common name is the ocelot pleco, and I don't think I have. Let me see. Bear with me. I think I had Planet Catfish up here somewheres. I do. So this is the L174. And the reason I picked up this species, there's a couple reasons. Number one, I like plecos that stay small. I don't like big tanks personally. I've never been a big tank guy. I've always been more of a smaller tank guy. Not like nano fish, but I don't like big tanks. They require big heaters, and that usually ends up with comes along with a big heating bill. And if they spring a leak, it's a big mess. So I like the smaller species, but this one in particular, similar to the zebra pleco in that its habitat, the Rio Xingu is really, really having a rough time right now, and those species are. So a lot of it is, for me, species conservation. Excuse me. Keeping the species, I think it's important to have this species in the hands of people that are experienced pleco keepers and breeders, to make sure that this fish is still around, in 100 years from now. And I think in total, I have picked up 15 or 16 of these from Dan's Fish. But I have, this is a species that I've recently added. And then also I picked up more L471s. And that is the mini snowball pleco. And this has been a real good seller for Dan. And the reason I know that is I have it on my watch list, and every time it comes up as available, it's gone. By the end of the day, when I have a chance to jump on Dan's fish, it's usually sold out. So it's been a very, very good seller and a very popular fish for him. But again, it's a smaller species that only gets around that 3-inch mark, and it's a hype Ancistrus. But I just think it's a real interesting fish, and it's been hard to find these until Dan started bringing these in. A lot of people don't carry them, and then when they do carry them, they're often misidentified. And they're misidentified by the collectors. They see this little tiny black and white, black fish with white spots, and they label it as a 471, and lo and behold, 6 months later, you find out it's a L201 or a Contradins, or I don't know which one of those comes out of the same waters, but I know one of them comes out of the same waters system as these fish here, and they get misidentified a lot. With that being said, I trust Dan. Unquestionable. I trust Dan, and I trust his source because I know he vets his sources extremely well. So I believe those are the real deal L471s. So I'm going to go back here for just a second. Okay. Now, also since my last video, I have had some spawning, and I do want to kind of recap some spawning reports. My Corydoras schultzi black, the newest Corydoras species that I currently keep in my fish room, and haven't had them too long. I'm going to jump on my YouTube page here and see if I can go back to see when I actually, 3 months ago, I made a video on picking some of these up. So haven't had them for even 4 months yet, and these things are they're breeding like guppies. They're multiplying like duckweed. So clearly not a challenging fish. I'm keeping them, just so everybody knows, I'm keeping them at 76 to 77 degrees. My TDS in that tank tests around 120 to 125 any given day. But they've bred for me like weekly now. It's out of hand, but I'm growing out about 35 to 40, and I skipped like 5 or 6 spawns. I didn't pick any eggs. I did pick some eggs 2 days ago. So I do have some eggs I'm tumbling right now. But they've been a real good breeder. And I don't know if I'm just having beginner's luck or what, but they're young fish. They weren't even through puberty yet, and these fish were spawning for me. So I've seen that before, though. A lot of these Corydoras will start spawning a lot sooner and earlier than you think they will. But they've been spawning really good, and I don't know why they've been so hard to find. If they're this prolific, I don't know why they're so challenging to find, and I don't know why they carry the price tag that they do. I see these for $30 a piece in many places. So we'll see, but hopefully we add some supply, bring that price down, and make them available for everybody that wants them, because that's why I'm here, is to make some of these species available at a competitive price, and just make them more accessible. So that's the schultzi black. A lot of people refer to these. I just want to clarify something. Now, a lot of people call these the black Venezuelan. Do not ever call them the black Venezuelan on Corydoras World Facebook page. That's Ian Fuller's Facebook page. You will learn very quickly that these, number one, don't come from Venezuela, and they have nothing to do with the Corydoras venezuelanus. They are a variant of the Corydoras schultzi. How they got named that is, there's still some debate on how they got that Venezuelan name associated with them, but their correct name is Corydoras schultzi black. Okay, so anyways, not to be a Corydoras snob, that's not what I'm trying to do, but I also had, to my surprise, a nice spawn and hatch from my Corydoras bozemanii. And I was excited about that for a couple reasons. I had a really bad year with the bozemanii. I had probably less than a 20% hatch rate this year overall. I had a lot of spawns that I had 100% loss. but I had a really good hatch. It was about 45, 50 eggs maybe, and I think I ended up with 30, 35 that I'm growing out right now. And these are harder to find Corydoras, and the males usually have a nice high dorsal fin. A lot of people say they look like Corydoras hasbrosus, and I can see that pattern similarity, but these get much larger than your dwarf Corys. But this is old video footage. This isn't current. This is probably last year. But the Corydoras bozeman, I was real excited to have a new spawn from them. And I think I had 12 available this year and sold them all to Mitchell Broom, who, I'm just getting to know and learning about. And they absolutely couldn't have landed in more, better hands than Mitchell Broom. He is, from what I've seen of his fish room and hearing him speak on Bob's live stream a couple years ago, very, very capable, experienced, knowledgeable. So these Corydoras bozeman, I definitely ended up with the right person with Mitchell. So, and if Mitchell's on, glad to have you here. And I'm glad all those fish made it down to you, because I was worried that a couple would be lost in shipping and I didn't have any replacements available, but I'm glad they all made it down there. But really excited to have a new spawn from the Corydoras bozeman here as well. So I also just yesterday also had a spawn from the green laser Corydoras, and they had shut down for a while, and I wasn't expecting any more green laser spawns until, maybe sometime in December, January, because those lasers, the one thing with the CW 009 and the 009s, the greens, and the CW 010, the golds or the oranges, they can just shut down on you, and they can shut down for a long time. They can shut down for a year, and you've changed nothing. The water's the same, the feeding schedule's the same. They just shut down, and then one day they'll just start up again. So I thought these guys had shut down for a while, and had a nice spawn. I don't know, they haven't hatched yet. Those, as well as that Corydoras black Schultz eye black spawn, should start hatching tomorrow. So we'll see if we get any more out of them or not. But I did have those spawn as well. I've also had a couple of spawns from my CW 049s, the black diamond Corydoras. I don't have any pictures loaded, but they're a real difficult to source fish as well, and not had real good success with them. However, this year I have managed to grow out. I think I have maybe 30 down in the fish room, and they're getting to the size now where they're almost going to be large enough to list and start selling. But the CW 049, if you're looking for a beautiful Corydoras, something that's a little more challenging but gorgeous, that's a fish that you might want to consider. But because it's a little more challenging to breed, and because it's difficult to source, it comes with a little bit of a higher price tag. So we're talking around the $25 per fish type price tag for them, and that's probably actually low at this point, given the state of things right now with inflation and costs and all that. But probably around $25. So I also did something, and I made a video about this. I'm probably going to regret this. But I'm growing out another spawn of angelfish. These are koi angels, nothing special, just standard koi angels. And the reason I did this, one of our largest LFSs here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, it's called A World of Fish. He's been in business. Ted was the owner. Ted shut his store down, and I think he was around for 45, 46, 48 years. He's been around forever. World of Fish was the place in Minneapolis, St. Paul for decades. As time went on, he started having to compete against Amazon and online sales, and the store in the past 10 years wasn't what it was 30 years ago, if you follow me, but it was still a great place. But he shut down, and he was probably he probably was the most popular fish store in Minneapolis, St. Paul. But he was on the south side of the Minneapolis, St. Paul metropolitan area where I reside. There's no other LFS around here except for one. So that gentleman, Mike is the owner's name, the traffic through his store is going to increase significantly. And Mike will buy anything that comes out of my fish room or my brother's fish room. So I brought him like 300 angelfish a couple years ago and walked away with, $1,000 credit or something. Not a lot, per fish, but it adds up considering the size of angelfish spawns. But I'll tell you what, I don't buy anything from Mike. I don't buy any of his fish, but I will get some dry goods from him. And $1,000 buys an awful lot of frozen bloodworms, live blackworms, and frozen daphnia. So that's why I'm doing it, to build up my bank account with one of my LFSs. He wins, I win. And the challenging part, though, is having enough water and tank space for angelfish, because these spawns are big. In this video here, these this is like 3 weeks ago. So they've grown since then, and they've been put in a different tank, but they just consume so much water space that I know I'm going to regret it, but we'll see. I did it. It's done. And let's move on. So anyways, that's that. Now, I do have a couple questions. I'm going to move into the next segment, and I have it identified on my outline here as questions of the week, but it's really questions of the past month on some of my YouTube videos. And I only have a couple because I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. And I only have about 10 minutes before I want to cut this live stream so we can all make it over to Dan's Fish. So, but a couple questions that I want to answer. And I get asked these questions a lot, and that's why I've selected these 2 questions. How do you choose which species to buy and breed? And I've got 3 things that I look at when I try to select a species to buy and breed here at TM Aquatics. Actually, 4 things. Number 1, can't be in my brother's fish room. But really, I look at, it's got to be a fish that I like. That's very important to me. I just don't find any reward or satisfaction buying a fish if it's not really the fish I want in my fish room. And a lot of people do this, and I think it's a mistake. A lot of people want zebra plecos, and they want to breed zebra plecos, but they don't want to spend $150 per fish to breed zebra plecos. The thing you got to keep in mind, if you can get them fish to spawn, you make your money back after that first spawn plus. And everything after that, it's all in the black. A lot of people will, I don't want to say take the cheaper way out, but a more, less expensive option, and they'll end up buying like the Colombian zebra pleco, which is a great fish. I don't want to knock it. That's not what I'm saying. But if that's not really the fish that you want, save up, buy the fish you want. And that's what I do, is I get the fish I want, but it has to be a fish that I like. Okay. The second thing that I look at is it has to be a fish that other people like, want, and will purchase. And I know what those species are just because of the people that I hang out with and the groups that I follow, my Pleco and Corydoras circles, as I call them. I know what sells and doesn't sell. Sometimes I make bad choices, but it has to be a fish that I know other people like me are looking for. And then the third thing is it has to be sourceable, but sourceable at a reasonable rate. And I'm going to switch the screens again here, and we're going to jump over to Planet Catfish. And we're going to look at this fish here. This is the CW111. This is, a lot of people call this the zebra Corydoras. A lot of people call this the Vulcan. You can see both common names down below on Planet Catfish. But this fish right now, or at least last time I saw it, was selling at about $400 a fish. Now, to me, $400 for a Corydoras is a little on the steep end. I might spend $400 on a super white L236, but on a Corydoras, I'm not quite sure I'm there yet. So it has to come down in price. I might jump in on that fish at like $150 a piece, but $400, I don't think so. So it's got to be sourceable, but it's got to be reasonable. And I've been married to my wife too long. I don't want to end up divorced because I just spent our retirement on a school of Corydoras. So it's got to be a fish I like, a fish that you like, and that people will buy. And it's got to be sourceable at a reasonable rate. And once these species come into the hobby and make their way to the United States and qualified good breeders get their hands on them, it doesn't take long before those costs come down quite a bit. The L236 super whites 2 years ago were selling for $1,000, $1,200. There were some big crazy numbers, and they're now down to the 400-ish. You can maybe find some a little bit less, a little bit more, but around 400-ish. It hasn't taken too long, and they're probably worth that, and we'll probably stay around that price for moving forward for a while yet. But anyways, that's the answer to that first question. The second one, I've been asked this a lot. Are you going to be attending any of the upcoming Aquashella? And the answer to that is no. I really won't. I really don't have any interest in that event. It looks like it's a great event. Looks like it's fun. But if I'm going to take time off from work and I'm going to fly somewhere, I am going to go to an event like this. And this is the All Aquarium Catfish Convention. And I do also attend Cataclysm, which is in Madison, Wisconsin, every 2 years. It's all bottom feeder centric stuff. And both events have hobbyists there selling out of their rooms. And that's where you can really get some interesting fish at really great prices, is attending events like this if you're looking for catfish. But this is where I'm going to get the most value for my time. I'm going to be able to listen to speakers like Rob McClure, Eric Bodrock, Jeremy Bash, and a lot of those, Ian Fuller, and a lot of those people that are truly the experts when it comes to Loricariidae and Corydoras. But so I probably won't ever be at an Aquashella unless they happen to land here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. But we'll see. Maybe one of these days I'll drive down to Chicago, but I really have no interest in that event at this time. So now we're going to wrap things up here in about 5-6 minutes. I do want to check out a couple things here real quick. For those that are here tonight, this is my selfish plug time. Because tonight is my first stream, I am going to be putting a discount in for my store if there's anything that you guys are interested in, any Plecos or Corydoras. The discount code will be STREAM10. It's going to be a 10% discount, and it's going to be for any item. There's not going to be any minimum or maximum uses on it, but I'm going to let this run for about a week, and then we'll go from there. And some of my fish are already on sale, which this is going to compound with. So you look at some of my fish, like the L134s, I have them $10 off. Now you're going to take them down another $7. Sorry, Robert, Tian Aqua. But there's more here if you want those, bud. And then, $1.80, $1.90 off the Duplicarius. I have sold out of the L397s, but anyways, discount code STREAM10. I'll put a link down, or I'll mention this down in the description after this gets published on YouTube, and then we'll go from there. One thing I do also want to show you guys real quick on Planet Catfish. If you're not a member, if you are breeding Corydoras and Loricariidae, Plecos, you want to register here. You want to jump on this website, but you don't just want to visit the website. Register so you can read the breeding reports. I showed you this fish earlier. This is the L174s, and it's my goal to eventually breed this fish here in my fish room. But most people will come here and they'll scroll down and they'll just look at the pH. They'll look at the temperature here and say, okay, 77 to 82. Perfect. I know what I need to do to be successful with this fish. Am I signed in? Yes, I'm signed in. The real value in Planet Catfish is right here, are the breeding reports. You want to read the breeding reports. This is where you're going to get the information from the people that have been successful with this fish. I want to back up. Everything you read on Planet Catfish on that first page isn't always 100% accurate. I'm just going to put it out there right now. It's not 100% accurate. But when you read these breeding reports, you're getting the parameters of the people that successfully bred these fish. I want you to take note. Temperature 29 to 31 Celsius. 30 degrees Celsius is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's back up. Let's look at another breeding report. 28 to 30 Celsius. Again, 86 degrees. I think one of these guys had something a little different. This guy, 30 to 30.5 Celsius. 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So you go back to this page and you're looking at 77 to 82 and you're trying to breed this fish and you're not having any success or minimal success. Maybe you need to bump the temperature up. You need to look at that breeding report because that's, again, where the information, the really, really good information is going to come from, is reading those breeding reports. So with that, we're nearing the end here, and I don't want to go too long because Dan's fish is going to be kicking off here, and I do watch Dan's fish live stream every week. I'm usually lurking, but I do watch that. I haven't really been watching chat for a couple reasons tonight as far as questions go, because this is my first live stream. I didn't want to have to focus on too many things going on. I'll get better with that as time goes on. So if you do have a question and I just simply missed it, I'm just asking that you maybe repost in the comments after we end this live stream, and I'll do my best to answer your question. And my apologies for missing any questions, but again, I wanted to focus on the content, the overlay, working my way through OBS and getting through this first stream, and just trying to get a feel or a pulse on how this all works, the streaming business here. So again, if you had a question, post it in the comments or send me a private message, and I'll do my best to answer, and we'll go from there. And then also, really the last thing is feedback. I hope to have more Q&A in future live streams, and we'll dedicate a segment for just Q&A so we can have that interaction. I know it's important, and I want to get to that place eventually, so we'll do that in future streams if we have future streams. And but I would appreciate any feedback that you can provide in the comments section below to let me know what you thought of the stream, what you liked, what you didn't like, because really this stream is all about you. It's about the viewers. It's about, the 5,000 or 10,000 people that watch each one of my edited videos. I want to produce content that is worth your time. So feedback is going to be immensely important to me. And again, I appreciate you taking the time to provide that. So anyways, with that being said, Pam and Bob, Last Minute Mods, thank you both very much. I know you're both very busy, and I know you have to bounce over here to Dan's Fish in a couple of minutes, so I'll see you over there. So thank you to both of you, to everyone else that has been watching, participating in chat. Thank you for your activity. I'll try to get another stream planned depending on how this goes here in another couple weeks or so. We'll just have to see. Feedback, please. And don't forget the discount code if you want some of my fish. Stream 10 at the Get Gills website. But with that, everybody, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to stop by my YouTube channel. And until the next one, we'll catch you all later.